Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I know it's... Okay, sorry, my auto cue is just playing up there, but whilst we'll sort that out. As you know, it's just after 4:30. We're coming to you from the studios of British Muslim TV here in Wakefield with this week's live edition of Questions with me, your host, Mohammed Shafiq. We're broadcasting now on Sky Channel 752 and across social media at the handle British Muslim TV. Wherever you are joining us from around the world, a very warm welcome. Now, we want you to comment on the big stories we're covering tonight. Call us now on 01924 231 083 or messages on the WhatsApp number, which is on the screen now. And if you're watching on Facebook, hello, post your comments in the chat box and we'll read some of them on air later. Today, we devote the first hour of the program to when is Eid. Yes, it's coming, it's close. We're on the 26th night tonight, 27th night, inshallah, after Maghrib. What are the different ways the day may be determined? With Raja Zahid Nawaz, a member of the Noor TV Moonsighting board. And then we'll finish off in Bolton and talk to Sannah Adam about her extraordinary journey from being a law student and England boxing coach to inspiring girls into boxing. So we want to hear from you tonight. You can call us on 01924 231 083. You can message us on British Muslim TV across social media. Alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp message. The number is on your screen. The questions we're considering tonight as we head to Eid this coming weekend. What are your plans to celebrate the day? And why can't we have one Eid? And finally, is women's boxing on the increase in South Asian communities? Please share your thoughts on 01924 231 083. Messages on WhatsApp or post on social media. And we'll read some of the comments on air throughout the program. And we'll get in touch very shortly with Dr Raja Zahid Nawaz, who's going to guide us through the situation in regards to Eid. As you know, in the beginning of Ramadan was divided. So what is the situation? Just whilst we wait for our guest to join us, let me just set out for you what the two positions, the three positions now are. You have an opinion, which is that once the observatory says that the moon has been born, regardless of whether you can see it or not, and why the science says it's possible to see the moon, that should be sufficient to start the Islamic month. The second opinion, and the first opinion, sorry, is generally the opinion which is used to calculate calendars in Saudi Arabia and some of the other Middle Eastern countries that follow Saudi Arabia's announcements in the region. You then have a second opinion, which is predominantly the Moroccan, Omani, and opinion, Pakistani opinion as well, and India and Bangladesh, which is that you've got to see the moon. You've got to make an attempt, because that's a sunnah, to see the moon. And if you cannot see the moon, to complete your 30 days. Obviously, here in the UK, for many, many years, we've been following Morocco, because that was the nearest Islamic country. They follow that opinion I've just set out for you. And you wait for an announcement from Morocco, or in recent years from South Africa, who again go out and search for the moon. And as long as the moon declarations, Shahada, doesn't contradict the science and the observatory reports, then they accept those Shahadas and say, yes, the moon has been sighted. Yes, it's backed up as a safeguard by the science. And then we have the announcement, which is working, inshallah, on the date to determine whether it's the start of the Islamic month and whether it is the beginning of the month or the end of the month. And in particular, obviously, lots of things that concern you is in regards to Eid. So that's the second opinion. And that generally has been a consensus opinion. And lots of people follow that. Lots of mosques follow that opinion. So it's very diverse. I'm not saying. And then in recent years, there has come a third option. Predominantly lots of more younger people believe in creating a local moon sighting. So disregarding what happened in Saudi Arabia, disregarding what happens in Morocco or South Africa, and just totally focusing on going out and looking for the moon here in the United Kingdom. And that is something which they do every month. We've had guests from the New Crescent Society, for example, who do that, and they have their opinion. So what does the science say? We're still waiting for our guest to join us from Okay. So our guest is probably in the first WhatsApp link, the Zoom link, if colleagues want to check that. He is waiting to join us. So, as I said, so let me tell you what the situation is here in the UK. And for you, in terms of what the science says, what the observatory report says, and what the situation is. Now, according to the observatory report, to be able to see the moon on the 1st of May, Saturday 1st of May, is virtually impossible anywhere in the world. And therefore, it's highly likely that the moon will not be visible, and therefore the moon won't be visible. So people who generally follow Saudi Arabia, they are very likely to complete 30 fast and have their Eid on a Monday. But I'm going to stop talking there because my guest is here, I think. So we'll get on with the new first story. Saudi Arabia accepts the birth of the moon to determine the start of each Islamic month. However, Morocco, South Africa insist you must go by the sighting of the moon as stipulated in the hadith. The third option, as I was saying, is local moon sighting boards, which will stop the need to follow either Morocco or Saudi Arabia. Hope that gives you an overview of the options. Now, how likely is it that there will be one cross-community UK-based moon sighting board, and how can the ulama from a diverse range of backgrounds agree on the way forward? Dr Raja Zahid Nawaz, who you'll know is a regular contributor here on our programme, he's an expert in moon sighting and he's a member of the New TV Moon Sighting Board, and he's based in Birmingham. He's been calling for the establishment of a new UK body to set Islamic dates using verified observations. Often what we have, for example, where I come from in Rochdale, the massages have come together and formed a moon sighting board, and they don't really look for what's happening across the country. They just wait and have a formula, which is to follow Morocco, South Africa, because it meets the Sharia and the Hadith instructions around moon sighting. And then they have a meeting and they determine what the announcement is going to be.
Assalamu alaikum.
And one of the other things that's been happening that we've not seen, we see more regularly now, is people don't wait until Maghrib. They make the announcement because obviously if the announcement is coming through from Saudi Arabia or Morocco or South Africa, well before our own Maghrib here in the UK, then lots of them use the science, the observatory reports, to say, well, this is what the observatory report is saying, the moon is impossible to be seen. Therefore, if the moon is able to be seen and can be seen, and it's 99.99% certain that it can be seen, then that's sufficient for us to make our announcement. Other people are saying that actually you shouldn't be doing that. You should be waiting. The Sunnah is to wait until Maghrib and get the reports in regards to that. So really what we want to ask you at home who are watching this live on British Muslim TV is what's your view about this? It's something which really concerns people around days off from school, looking at time off from work, differential impact it has on individual families, where you have people in one household, one family doing Eid on the different day, people on the same street, next door neighbours doing it on different days. And this is something which is really causing lots of concern for people, but there doesn't seem to be any leadership on this. There doesn't seem to be any will or hope or activity going on to bring the diverse communities together in this country to say this is something that we really should come up with a new approach, and that is something that we can do. Now, how we do that and the process to do that, I mean, that is something else that really needs to be considered, because you have a vast, diverse range of opinion, Islamic opinion in the Muslim community. But one thing that you've just got to get very clear in terms of solutions, and we'll talk to Dr Raja Zahid Nawaz very, very shortly about this, is what's the solution? How can we improve matters, and how can we get to that point where there is going to be unity? And so how do we get there? The first step is to try to bring the ulama together, not just the Brelvis or the Jubandis or the Salafis, the Shias, but actually say, let's bring them all together. Let's bring all the key players, who's responsible, who's leading moon sighting activity within the individual groups. Let's bring them together for a conference, for a meeting, whatever you want to call it, to look at the obstacles, to look at the solutions and then to see whether we can get an agreement across the UK on this. And I think that is something that in the past has been tried, but we haven't been able to get on to. Now, there was lots of concern around the announcement at the beginning of Ramadan, which Saudi Arabia made, because of the sense that the science, the observatory reports were saying that the moon was impossible to be seen. Yet Saudi Arabia announced their month. And so that's something that we have. I don't know if my guest is ready yet, but okay. Well, apologies for the issues that we're having with Raja Zahid Nawaz sound issue, but we've got about a couple of minutes before we go to the break. Are you there, Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Welcome, Dr. Raja. We've got a couple of minutes before our break. Thank you so much for joining. Just tell us, how's your Ramadan been?
My thanks to you for inviting me once again on your program. It's always a pleasure to hear you and also to join in your programs.
Thank you, sir. So how was your Ramadan?
Alhamdulillah, it's going very smoothly, although you do feel a bit hungry and thirsty, which is very natural, especially when you're working hard. But it's a few days left now, and we need to make the most of it.
Yeah. We've got about 60 seconds, so if you just briefly, that question that's come in around Saudi Arabia, that the observatory reports were saying the moon was impossible to be seen, yet Saudi Arabia was announcing that the moon had been seen and therefore started Ramadan on the Saturday. What's the criticism of that?
Yeah, very simple indeed, that Saudi Arabia simply follows another criterion, which is based on the conjunction of the moon rather than the actual sighting of the crescent moon. Therefore, they are always a day before than actual sighting.
Okay.
And even
Dr. Sab, just stay there. We just got 20 seconds. We need to go to a very quick break, inshallah. We'll continue this conversation. If you want to also join the conversation, 01924 231 083. Join us on this side of these very important messages. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. So we were talking to Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, who's our special guest. Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, let's just go back to you. We're talking about Saudi Arabia. So they go by the birth of the moon, and yet the opinion, which is Morocco and South Africa, go by the sighting of the moon, and so they're always the day behind.
Yes, Saudi Arabia's moon sighting system has changed 3 times over the course of history. And even in those 3 periods, there has been no such thing as actual moon sighting or moon visibility taking place in Saudi Arabia. So for example, just to give the example of Ramadan, on the 1st of April, the altitude of the moon was only 3 degrees on the horizon of Mecca. Therefore, it was virtually impossible for the moon to be sighted. In fact, this moon was not even a crescent. For the moon from the phases of the birth, which is known as the conjunction, to enter into the phase of the crescent moon, it has to have an elongation of 10 degrees and 5 degrees altitude. But on the horizon of Mecca, on the 1st of April, the altitude was just 3 degrees. Therefore, the sighting stage comes very late on. This was not even a crescent. It was in the stages of conjunction, and the Saudis announced the start of Ramadan to be the 2nd of April, whereas everyone else who follows actual moon sighting started Ramadan on the 3rd of April.
Now, so what's your views about the Morocco method? The Morocco method, which is something which many of the British Muslims have been utilizing.
Morocco follows a very robust system of actual moon sighting and has over 200 70 sighting points across the country, stretching right up to a place called Dakhla, which is the Western Sahara. And they have a process of validating and verification actual sighting reports. And that in Arabic is called tanqih, where somebody would actually scrutinize the reports that they receive.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody makes a claim which is in contradiction to calculations, they would not accept that testimony that that individual has seen the moon.
Sorry, Dr. Raja, just for our viewers' sake, so that's the safeguard that's built in?
Throughout, wherever you have actual moon sighting systems, there is a process of validation, of verification, and calculations are used to actually validate and verify the testimonies that you receive. Yeah. Unfortunately, what people have done, they have replaced actual sighting with calculations. And Brother Shafiq, never in the history of Islam or the history of calendars, I would say, that has anybody advocated suspending actual moon sighting and replacing it with calculations. Yeah. So what I am saying is calculations have never been used in lieu of actual moon sighting. Calculations have been used to verify unsubstantiated testimonies of actual moon sighting.
And then the third option, which has appeared in recent years, has been uniquely a British solution, which is just local moon sighting based on the UK. What's your views about that?
Just to add to you our information and our knowledge, local moon sighting is not new to the United Kingdom. The first mosque in the UK is based in Liverpool, which was established by Abdullah Quilliam, may Allah bless him. And they used to publish a magazine or a weekly paper called The Crescent. And I have in front of me the edition from the 2nd of March, 1898, Brother Shafiq. And in that, they look at the crescent moon for Shawwal. And here they clearly say that they stood outside and actually saw the crescent moon for Shawwal, and the announcement was made, and then they lighted up the streets with their lanterns at the time to let people know that the month of Ramadan had ended. So local moon sighting is not alien to the United Kingdom. And what is happening now is that in reality, we are going back into what it used to be and practicing the culture of local moon sighting, which I feel is a very important step in proving the point that the crescent moon in the UK can be seen, because there are baseless and false assumptions being made that the United Kingdom's horizon is one, abnormal, and the crescent moon cannot be seen. That factually is not correct. And also all those moon criterions which advocate actual moon sighting always start from their home country. So for example, even on Noor TV and the ulama associated with the board, they all agree that our first starting point is the British horizon. So on the UK's horizon, if the crescent moon is not sighted, then they extend the width of the horizon to go up to Morocco and take the news from Morocco as well. But the first point, the starting point, is your UK's horizon in any event.
Okay. So that I hope gives you an overview, viewers, of the three opinions that exist here in the UK in regards to the moon sighting. There's obviously the Saudi method, the Moroccan and South African method, and then the local moon sighting.
Yeah, but the point to make is that the crescent moon can be sighted in the UK. The problems start when you start importing dates from other countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia or even bizarrely, and this is a new concept where people have come up and said, let's now look at Mexico City, for example, or South America, which is an absurd and an unscientific statement to make in any event. But people are saying, let's now follow Hawaii, for example, not taking into account the enormous time differences which exist between these two horizons. It's unnatural to make these statements.
And we'll talk about that in a second throughout the program. But if you want to join these conversations, 01924 231 083. Lots of questions coming through on Twitter as well, and we'll go through some of them in a second. Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz is with me. So, you know, we've just discussed the various methods. Do you think the various groups could see unity on something? Do you see the people that follow Saudi Arabia moving to follow local moon sighting? And will the people following Morocco also stop following Morocco and just following a local sighting? Or is this another version that has created this unity as well?
No, the ground reality is that there is a sea of change. The elder generation may not have been that aware on the scientific developments which are taking place. Now the audience has changed. Our demographics have changed. Our communities have changed. You are now dealing with a much more educated, much more scientific community who understand the principles of crescent visibility. So to say to them that the moon has been sighted on the horizon of Mecca, whilst the calculations are clearly stating that the moon has not even reached the phases of a crescent, will not be acceptable to our new audience. So there is a sea of change. This needs to be enhanced through more educational programs, more awareness, and educating people on, firstly, the fiqh, the Islamic injunctions on moon sighting, and also the scientific justifications of actual moon sighting, because unfortunately there is a lot of misinformation associated and misunderstanding, I would say, on the various elements of the calculations which are presented.
Yeah, is it worryingly that some ulama claim they want unity yet continue to refuse any attempts to bring that unity?
Can you repeat that question?
So there is some ulama who said that they want ittihad and they want unity amongst British Muslims, yet they refuse to do anything to bring that unity forward.
Look, I can't speak on behalf of any ulama or any scholar. What I can say is that in order to come to a unified decision, the first step is the moon criterion needs to have unification. There would be no unity in the communities if your moon criterion doesn't have that unity. That unity will be reflected when your criterion has unity. What do I mean by that? One, it needs to have religious justification. Number two, it needs to have scientific rationalization. And number three, it needs to address the issue of advanced planning. Any criterion which fails to take into account these essential pillars will not achieve any unity in the community. If I live 100 years, I'll still be on your program talking about the same need to have unity. And the unity will only come about if your criterion has that unity, and then that reflects into the communities.
We've got about 90 seconds, but lots of people saying there are some Sunni Brelvi people. We'll pick this up because I think it's going to be a long answer. But if calculation can be used, then why can't we use the Saudi method? That's been coming up as well. Why can't we all just follow Saudi Arabia? Wouldn't it be easier?
Very simple. Calculations on their own cannot be used to start the Islamic month. This concept is completely alien to Islamic history. And after the break, I will explain why. Who was the first person in the entire Islamic history who gave this idea that we should abandon local moon sighting and now just follow calculations? I would elaborate that after your break.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break. We're having an exclusive conversation with Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, who is a member of the Noor TV Moonsighting board. He's a very respected figure within the British Muslim community and is obviously very knowledgeable on this. As I said, we've got lots of questions coming through in regards to this as well. We'll get through some of those comments as we get through the programme. But if you want to join the conversation of a question for Dr. Zahid Nawaz, please dial the number 01924 231083. You're watching Questions here on British Muslim TV. We'll take a very quick break and we'll be back just after this. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq. We're asking a very important question as we head towards the Eid weekend. When is Eid going to be? And our special guest is Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, who's joining us live from Birmingham. Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, we were talking just before the break about the calculation method which was introduced. What's the history behind that? Who introduced the calculation?
A very relevant question. Throughout Islamic history, no one has advocated that we abandon moon sighting, actual moon sighting in your own locality and replace it with calculations. The innovator, the first person who initiated this was in the period of the Fatimid period in Al-Qahira, who were the Fatimi Shiites. And it was General Johar who initiated this concept. And as a result of that, the ulama at the time, throughout the different countries, they opposed this concept that this is alien to Islamic teachings. And this has been documented in a variety of sources. Number one, I have here the Caesarean moon births by Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. He has cited this as a reference. But I have not just relied on that. I've gone to the actual sources. The School of Oriental and African Studies, Brother Shafiq, has documented this in their journal, which I have. And they also document that the people who opposed the new concept that just follow calculations and not actual moon sighting, would you believe the Mufti of Barqa, the Qazi of the time, was punished to death because of this by General Johar. And this concept has also been highlighted in the New Encyclopedia of Islam, 3rd edition by Cyril Glasse. And on page 108 on the chapter on calendars, he documents this, that, and I quote for your viewers, the practice of beginning the months on the basis of an astronomical calculation of the date of the new moon was in fact instituted under the Fatimids by General Johar after the founding of Cairo in 359 and 969. But this was condemned by the Sunni ulama as bid'ah or a false innovation. And that remains the position up to now. So throughout Islamic history, Brother Shafiq, none of the 4 schools of thought, no muhaddiseen, no mufassirin, or no classical scholar, no Salaf Salihin has ever said, let's just follow calculations. And even to the extent that Saudi Arabia, who follow a predetermined calendar known as al-Qurra, their announcement categorically states that they sighted the moon. They do not have the courage to say, let's just follow calculations, because they clearly understand the impact and the violation of Islamic injunctions if they do.
We'll talk a bit about that method as well. There was a divide amongst the Sunni Brelvi communities, of which you're a key player, a key member. What do you make of that disagreement and the principle from one of the group, Allama Ghulam Rabbani Afghani Sahib, who I tried to get on the program this week, but he was unavailable, is that they accept global moon sighting as supported by Imam Ahmad Raza Fazl Brelvi Rahmatullahi Ta'ala. What do you say to that?
First, I'm not going to comment on any individuals. On the concept of global moon sighting, my opinion is this. This is an abstract idea which has no foundation in Islamic history. Maulana Shah Ahmad Raza Khan Brelvi alayhi rahmah did not say that if you were living in India, you import the news of the crescent from South America. If that was the case, in the time he was living, did Maulana Shah Ahmad Raza Khan Brelvi himself try to approach neighboring countries? At that time, telegram was around. It was possible for Zulhijjah to get the news from different countries, but not even once did he actually practice this. And secondly, let us face a scientific fact, and that is that the time zones are very different. So how could we follow global moon sighting when some countries are 11 hours behind or 11 hours forward, depending on which country you are in? So for example, at the moment, the sun has not set in the UK. However, there are those countries who have already started the next day after the sunset. So that takes out so many countries. So when you start minusing those countries, global to me means the entire globe. So it does not remain global, it becomes regional. And secondly, when you say global moon sighting, are you including all the islands which are not habitual? Why not? They are part of the globe. So how are you going to determine moon sighting on an island where there are very few human beings living? Who are you going to consult?
Yeah, so their approach would be to say that if there is an announcement from a different country who have their own setup, that is sufficient for them, but it's not for you.
Which country are we going to rely on in terms of global moon sighting? Hawaii does not have an established moon sighting system. Other Gulf countries do not actually engage in actual moon sighting. They simply follow neighboring countries. And the largest country or the most important player in this is Saudi Arabia. They will follow the announcement of Saudi Arabia.
I mean, so Oman global, is, sorry.
In my opinion, just to be very clear, because there are hundreds of people watching your program, global moon sighting is an abstract idea, number one.
Yeah.
It is unscientific because of time zones, and it is alien to Islamic history.
Okay, so the next question then would be, some of your fellow Brailvi scholars have gone again and decided to have a different approach, which is their right. Do you think it's going to be difficult bringing them back to the table?
Everything is possible, and I think through education and through awareness and regular programs like yours and like others and like the initiatives which many young people are now engaged in, and that's what I mentioned earlier on, is about the generational change and the demographics which are changing. Unfortunately, some of our ulama have not adapted to the changing demographics and realizing that their audiences have now changed. You are now dealing with a much more educated audience which operate on the principle of logic and scientific rationalization. And I think that audience will now bring a sea of change, and the ulama will have to sit and discuss the solution in light of the teachings of Quran and Sunnah, and also scientific data being presented to them. We cannot ignore scientific data, but the priority is on the Islamic injunctions, because this is not just the start of any month, it links to your worship, your ibadah.
We've got a couple of minutes before the break, but I suppose one of the problems has also been the ego of some of the Islamic scholars around the UK, and there seems to be multiple announcements by multiple groups who claim to represent the Sunni Brailvi community. Is that part of the problem, that this one big community represents the majority of British Muslims is unable to agree amongst itself?
You see, on the issue of ego, I mean, I'm no psychological expert to start discussing people's egos and whose ego is bigger than whose. I mean, we all have some level of ego in us. The issue is not ego. The issue is that we are stuck in our ways and we need to open up to the changes which are taking place. Even the Greenwich Observatory, the British Observatory, as it's commonly known, the model that they have to predict the sighting of the crescent, it was developed in the 1980s. Even that is now more or less becoming outdated. It needs to be updated. And some of our scholars, unfortunately, are clinging onto that. And they call me often and say, oh, the moon is category B, C, or D. And I keep on repeatedly saying that you cannot just judge the visibility by just looking at the classifications or a visibility map. You have to look at the other elements which are very, very important and impact on the visibility. And what are those? Those are the...
Can I just ask you to pause there, sir? So we're just going to go to our next break, and inshallah, we'll continue the conversation with Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, a member of the Noor TV Moonsighting Board, an expert on moonsighting. As again, we've got lots of questions coming through on social media. We'll get through some of them very shortly. Join us on the other side of these very important messages. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. We're talking about moon sighting and we're talking about Eid. Yes, Eid is nearly upon us. Alhamdulillah, I hope you've benefited from this blessed month of Ramadan. And as we have a beautiful night, obviously, for those of you who it is the 27th night tonight. Some people will be doing it tomorrow, but for those of you doing it tonight, it's a very blessed night for you. So we hope that you will be able to pray for me and everybody here at British Muslim TV. Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz is still with us. Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, do you understand how divisive this division is for school children, people getting time off work, the NHS? It's just, it makes us a bit of a mockery amongst our fellow workers.
Absolutely. Before I answered that, before we went on break, I was just mentioning the most important elements of the sighting of the crescent.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to actually create this awareness. And those are in totality, I must say. You cannot pick and choose one of these elements and start applying it. It has to be in totality. So you've got your age of the moon, you've got your altitude, the elongation, and also the crescent illumination. Now, the crescent illumination is important because if the crescent is not illuminated more than 1%, it would be difficult to actually sight. So that needs to be taken into consideration when assessing whether a crescent moon will actually be sighted or not. The point on the problems it creates for society, I clearly appreciate and see that. In fact, as a former employee of the DFE, I actually saw firsthand the problems which our public bodies were facing, our schools were facing, and also organizations and departments with Muslim employees, how they have to accommodate various requests for holidays, etc. So I think the best way is to agree on a criterion, as I outlined earlier in this program, which meets three conditions. One, that it meets the Islamic injunctions. If you negate that, you will alienate all of your Muslim scholars. That would be difficult to handle. Scientific rationalization, if you ignore that, you would never achieve unification. And also the third pillar is the concept of advanced planning. If you follow these first two pillars, then you are very likely to have accurate dates for advanced planning purposes. So people could book their holidays, they could prepare and be ready for the Islamic festivals and acts of worship.
Yeah, that's really important. And lots of people on social media, we get hundreds of comments coming through, and a lot of it just been scrolling through whilst you've been talking there, is around that point that people just want unity. They want us to have one day and put that division aside. And I ask this question of you every year: Is that work happening outside of Ramadan, outside of Eid, where people are coming together and trying to have those conversations, not just amongst?
Yeah, true. I can speak for the board where I sit on, that is on Noor TV. We have 12 months announcements throughout, starting from the first Islamic month, Muharram, all the way up to Zulhijjah. We are not ad hoc moonsighters that we go away for the remaining months and then appear out of nowhere, and I must say out of nowhere, and cause chaos in the Muslim community and pretend to be some highly sophisticated experts in moonsighting and start making unscientific, unsubstantiated announcements. We make announcements starting from Muharram all the way up to Zulhijjah. And they are not just bland announcements. We go into depth. We go into detail on where the moon was sighted, what was the position, what was the altitude, what was the crescent illumination like, and why was it seen, and how was it seen. These are the factors that we address every month. And the vision behind this is that once you repeatedly articulate a message, it sits in people's minds and people realize the credibility that you have. And Alhamdulillah, we collaborate with other organizations. And I was just before coming onto this program, I was talking to members of the New Crescent Society. I was talking to Brother Kamaruddin earlier on. And also we have similar discussions and collaborations with the scholars of Wifaqul Ulama. And all of them are united on one concept, because we need to tease out the points of unity. Is that no matter what your criterion is, if you are followers of actual moon sighting, you will always start from your local horizon.
Yeah. Okay.
The only problem start is when on the local horizon, the visibility, actual visibility of the crescent is not proven. Then I think there is a diversion, that there are those who will extend the length of the crescent to go up to certain countries. That is what we need to work on. But in the interim, the basis of unity is that anybody who follows actual moon sighting always looks at their local horizon. That's what I have been doing for the past 16 years. I've got records of our announcements, and I've always started from the horizon of the UK first.
Okay, and let's move on to Eid for this year. Can you set out what the observatory reports are saying?
Indeed, on the position of Shawwal, which in common terms is known as Eid al-Fitr, on the 1st of May, which is our 29th. Now, those who started Ramadan before us, note this, Brother Shafiq, they would be making an announcement on the 30th of April. And their statement would be something like this, that the moon has not been sighted. Bear in mind, at the time of their announcement, the moon has not even been born, never mind sighting. That proves the point that unfortunately, the starting of Ramadan was rather controversial, that someone somewhere had initiated Ramadan a day before. For us, the 29th would be on the 1st of May. And on that day, the age of the moon for the UK horizon would be approximately 22 hours and 56 minutes. The altitude of the moon would be 7 degrees and the elongation would be 11 degrees. The crescent illumination would be 0.90%. It would be extremely difficult to be seen in the UK. There's a possibility it could be seen, but if I was to say what's the chances, I would say there is a 20% chance that, subject to all atmospheric factors and conditions being absolutely clear, there may be a 20% chance for the crescent to be seen in the UK on the 1st of May. In Rabat, in Morocco, the position is more clear, that the age of the moon is 22 hours and 43 minutes, but the altitude is 8 degrees and the elongation is 11. The classification is category B. However, the illumination is 0.88% in Rabat, and the condition for it to be seen with certainty is 1% above for crescent illumination. Therefore, in light of these calculations, my personal prediction is that there is a 60% chance for the crescent to be seen in Rabat or Dakhla or other cities of Morocco, and the remaining, it may not be seen. So we need to be open that Eid al-Fitr could be on the 2nd of May by completing the Ramadan month on 29 days, but also we need to keep open due to these factors that it may well end up on a month of 30 days and Eid al-Fitr falling on the 3rd of May, which is a Tuesday.
Okay, I hope for you viewers at home that you get a clear indication of that. What about South Africa? Because
there is absolutely no chance of any sighting whatsoever in South Africa on the 1st of May. I am more than 90% certain that Eid al-Fitr will fall on the 3rd of May in South Africa, and also in Oman. There is no chance for the crescent to be seen on the 1st of May. And their Eid will also fall on the 3rd of May.
Yeah.
These are my predictions. I may be completely wrong. I'm not claiming that this will be 100% accurate, but this is based on my analysis of what I have seen.
And then I suppose my final question to you as we come to the end of our time together, the impact that will then have on the local moon sighting options, because their prediction is that they will complete their 30 fast and have their Eid on the Tuesday.
Their predictions are that they will sight the moon on the 1st of May because there is a chance, although it's a very small chance, there is a chance of actual moon sighting on the horizon of the UK. So that's their first priority. Now, if it's not seen, then obviously they will move to the 2nd day. However, if Morocco doesn't see it, local sighting and Morocco will match for the 3rd of May.
Okay, yeah, but but if Morocco sees it on the 2nd, the local moon sighters.
I am sorry, this does exceed the bank holiday expectation that Eid should fall
on the bank holiday.
We cannot fix this. This is either 29 days or 30 days.
Yeah.
This is the nature of a lunar calendar. I cannot fix this, and nor can some scholar of Islam come about and say, I want to fix this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being my guest, and thank you for enlightening us. Because
thank you
lots
for
of the comments,
me, and I hope what I have said has benefited your audiences.
It has massively. Thank you so much. And when it does come to Eid, please have a great day. Love to you and the family. And thank you so much. That was Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, a member of the Noor TV Moon Sighting Board, telling us about the evidence behind it and looking at the science as well. And so, as I said, follow particularly your local mosque. We're going to take a short break now and then head to Bolton and go to Manchester to talk to the young woman who is inspiring girls into boxing. Sannah Ahmed joins us shortly, inshallah. And then we'll continue the conversation on 01924 231 083. Join us on the other side of these very important messages. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV, live from our studios here in Wakefield. Just before we move on to the next story, just wanted to reiterate that analysis of the data that we were talking about on moon sighting. So there is very little chance, because the moon hasn't even been born in Saudi Arabia, that on the 1st of May, the moon would be possible to be seen. So therefore, this is the Friday, and therefore the moon is not visible in Saudi Arabia on the 1st of May. Therefore, Saudi Arabia is most likely to complete 30 days of their fast and have their Eid on Monday, the 2nd of May. Remember, get my dates correct so I don't confuse you in regards to that. Let me just get my dates in front of you so I can see that. Yeah. Okay. And so that's the situation in Saudi Arabia. So the chances are that Saudi Arabia will announce their guests, will announce their Eid, on then. So you'll get the announcement on Friday. They'll say the moon has not been seen, and therefore we complete 30 days, and they'll have their Eid on the Monday, the 2nd of May. In regards to Morocco, there is a 60 to 70% chance that the moon could be seen in some parts of Morocco. If that is the case, then the people who started their fast on the Sunday that were found in Morocco or South Africa, they're likely to see their Eid on that particular day. However, if they don't get any positive moon sighting in Morocco, they also will complete the 30 days. And inshallah, their Eid will be on the 3rd. And then the local moon sighting will try to go out and see the moon, as Dr Raja Zahid Nawaz was saying. If they're unable to see the moon, they will then also complete their 30 days and have their Eid on Tuesday, the 3rd of May. I hope that answers your questions, but if you've got any more questions about that, please do let me know. We're going to move on to our final guest and story. It is often said that boxing is very much a male-dominated sport. But with the likes of Nicola Adams, Terry Harper, Chantel, Cameron, who are making huge waves in the ring and inspiring a new generation of young girls into the sport. Another person helping girls into boxing is Sannah Adam from Bolton. The 20-year-old is running classes for young girls at the boxing club where she once trained. Sannah Adam recently qualified as an England coach at the Metro Boxing Community Gym in Tongmore and is already inspiring South Asian girls to get into the ring. Sannah joins us now live on British Muslim TV from the town of Bolton. Sannah, assalamu alaikum. Very warm welcome to British Muslim TV. Great to have this conversation. First of all, tell us, where did your interest in boxing come from?
So I started boxing at the age of 14 in 2015. I was completing my Duke of Edinburgh award, and I had to get a physical activity in there as part of the DOV award. So I decided to take up boxing along with my brother. We both went to Metro Community Boxing Gym, and at the time it was at Fury's gym on Halliwell. So it was a professional gym, but it was also home of amateur club Metro at the time. Fury's is now closed, so at the moment we're at Castle Hill Community Centre in Bolton. Yeah,
and tell us about the culture in that gym in Tongmore that you used to use.
So the culture in the gym, it was absolutely amazing. When I first started, I was the only girl in that gym. I was given a really warm welcome, bright, friendly environment. The trainers, absolutely amazing. So my head trainer, there's Tommy Battle, Angela Barber and Diego. And I was made to feel so welcome because being the only girl, I stepped in and I just wondered, is this my kind of a scene? How long am I going to last here? But it was so amazing. And before I knew it, everybody became family.
Yeah.
They've integrated even at times where it was about me integrating in the gym, but my trainers also integrated with myself. So they've come to celebrations like when I turned 16, I had a 16th birthday, they came to that. And alhamdulillah, even things like I went for Umrah in 2020, they came down to my house for Zamzam and Kajur, and they're really interested in things like that. So it's a really good culture in the gym.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, that aspect of it. When you look at British Asian male boxers, you have the success of Amir Khan. There is no one similar for young Asian girls growing up, is there? Apart from yourself, obviously.
So Bolton is very rich in boxing. We have a good history, especially with the likes of Amir Khan. And at the moment in the pro scene, there's a lot of good professional Asian boxers. Now, I saw a gap and I saw that when will a time come where we can see an Asian girl do that? And I guess that's part of the reason why I started going into coaching and going into teaching my own lessons. I mean, it's open for everybody of all ages, and it's not just Asian girls, it's for all, I guess, Black minority ethnic backgrounds. And it's a good environment for everybody to come and just learn a skill and a sport and hopefully flourish within that. So I guess I'm seeking young and fresh talent as well. And inshallah, it's something that we will get to see in the future.
Yeah. And your father has known to support your classes and your commitment to boxing. How important is that support for you?
Obviously, this is definitely a really important question. So ever since a young age, I've always had a really close bond with both my parents, and we have a very open and friendly relationship. And as much as they're my parents, I'd like to say they're my best friends as well. And I think that's played a crucial part within how I went about being a coach. Ever since a young age, my dad, I've got a brother, Zidane, we've always had fun and doing pads at home. This was even before I started boxing. So when I did start boxing, it was something that he really supported. My mum comes from a healthcare and at the moment it's a education background. So it's very natural for her to support. And she's always throwing opportunities my way, even within boxing, outside of boxing. Every time she sees an opportunity, she definitely, she knows what I'm capable of. So she's very good like that. But I think in terms of being Asian, I feel like it's really important for parents to understand their children and for children to trust their parents. So it's a two-way thing. And just to have a really open and honest relationship with each other so that the children can do what they're happy with. And for the parents to have that trust in their children as well and know that they can trust them making their own decisions.
Yeah, and which young female boxers have inspired you to get into boxing?
So in terms of being inspired into boxing, I wouldn't say I was inspired into boxing because I almost like just blindly walked into it myself. So if you don't know what the Duke DAV is, it's the Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Yeah.
And I got up to my silver. So you have a skills, a physical, and there's another section to that as well. I think it's volunteering. So there's two things which I started, which I still keep up with. One of them is my boxing, and the other one is charity work. So I've done work with charity work with various different charities. But these sort of skills that I've learned is what kind of kept me going. So I walked into this gym and I was the only girl there. Now, in a sense, it was good because I was a bit of a tomboy myself. But I guess within that kind of environment, I was my own inspiration because I thought to complete my silver award, I'm going to have to carry on and do it for at least 6 months. But I absolutely loved it so much that I carried it on. And that's what made me want to change my what I bring to the table in that gym, because there's been times, I've been there for 7 years, there's been times where girls have walked in and they felt a bit out of their comfort zone, and maybe they know I'm used to it, but they didn't feel that way. And they've come for a couple of sessions and I've not seen their faces since. But I feel like having these lady sessions, I've been an inspiration to them because I've told them my own story, and it's something which it's a positive for everybody, really.
And what's the reaction been from people like your friends and the wider family?
The reactions initially, it was, so from my friends and the people who know me, like the people who genuinely know me, they found it surprising, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's Sannah, like that's so for her and this and that. But in terms of other side of reactions, it was the surprise, but a quite what's the word, like a confused surprise.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she does boxing, and
So
why do you
bemused.
do boxing? Isn't that a boy sport? And what makes you want to do boxing? So I still get that all the time, but now I don't just say I go boxing. Now when I say I'm a boxing coach, they're even more surprised. But
Yeah.
it's really nice, and in a way it's positive to see that the same people, like a lot of the same people who were quite confused at the start, like why is she doing boxing? It's like the same people now, they've seen me flourish within the sport, and they're now asking like, oh, I've got a son, I've got a daughter, will you do some classes, and can they join your classes? Do you do one-to-ones? So I mean, attitudes from the start were different and they're different now, but either way, I'm one of these where so long as it makes me happy and my family's happy with that, I'll just carry on doing my thing, because alhamdulillah I've progressed and it's not gone unnoticed, to be honest.
Yeah, and how did you go about qualifying as an England coach for boxing?
Okay, so when I was training in the gym, I used to do a lot of work with the amateur lads. So I'd hold the pads or I'd help out in corners and just a lot of things, giving a bit of advice. And I was already being a coach without knowing it.
Yeah.
So one day, like me and my coach, we have a very open relationship. So he asked me, he said, well, you're doing it anyway. We think it'd be really good to put you forward for this course. So my club actually funded me and they put me forward. And there's a few things you have to complete towards getting the final qualification. But the course itself through England Boxing, it consisted of like 2 weekends and really long days of just learning the skills of the sport and knowing what goes behind it, safeguarding, first aid, all of that. And then just to close off, there's an assessment and you either pass or fail. But I did go in there knowing that I'll do really well because it was things that I was already doing. So it was just about enhancing what I already knew.
Yeah, I know we're going to take a very quick break very shortly, but in a sense, what's the atmosphere like in the gym? I mean, you know, male, female. I mean, do you get some, do you get challenges from the boys?
So are you talking in the sense where it's with the lads or
yeah, just you know, like the lads generally tend to rip the girls, think they're better than the girls, but the girls can give as good as
my gym. Honestly, the lads are like family. Each and every one of them, they're like a brother to me, and we can have conversations that are not just gym related. We've helped each other in terms of applying for jobs and uni, and you know, none of them. There's not the gym itself. It won't tolerate like I wouldn't say bullyish, but it won't tolerate when you're unkind towards anyone. Yeah. We all really get along. So I've never had to worry about anything like that.
That's really good to hear. And one more question before we go to the break. I mean, in terms of it helps increase your physical health, obviously, but also your mental health as well.
Yeah, 100%. Physical health, mental health. I know I've had anxiety in the past and still I have waves of anxiety. It's something that you can learn how to control it. And in the same way, I've had so many conversations with friends and girls and even guys that we all go through it. And boxing's like, it's a way to just get rid of everything in your head. And it teaches you other really good things like self-discipline and these kinds of transferable skills that I found myself using in the gym, but outside of the gym as well.
And you've then got your I suppose that you have to be careful what you eat and where you eat, your calories and stuff like that.
Yeah, so in terms of being a coach, I'm not getting weighed all the time. I'm not a boxer. Like I'm the one who helps the boxers, but obviously along with them, I do like to eat healthy. And sometimes, I mean, I will slack, and it's just one of them things. But I do eating healthy is really important. It's something I'll always promote.
Yeah,
like looking after ourselves.
Well, Sannah, stay there. I know we're heading towards a break. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. We have a very important conversation with Sannah Ahmed, the boxing coach from Bolton. And she's still with us, joining us. Sannah Ahmed. Sannah Adam. Sorry, I don't know what it is today, Sannah. I think it's the fast probably getting to me this time of the night.
I think it is.
So we were talking about you and the reason why you got into boxing, Sannah, and then it was very much about, tell us about the lessons. You've already started them. How are they going?
So I started my lessons on March the 11th was my first one on a Friday. And honestly, it was really amazing and delightful to see so many girls come. Within the next week, I've had to put on a Saturday class as well. So
wow.
I'm doing 2 hours on a Friday and 2 hours on a Saturday.
That's amazing.
Just to accommodate for everybody, because I want as many people to come as possible. In terms of outside of Bolton, I've had messages from towns, Oldham, Rochdale, someone as far as Scotland asking where they can get into a session. And I am, inshallah, looking into one-to-ones because I want it to be for everyone and I don't want somebody to feel like they can't come just because they live really far away.
Yeah. And then have you thought about the having virtual sessions online as maybe, as an alternative? Then maybe you could expand your reach.
It's a good one. It's not something I've considered at the moment. I mean, it is a really good idea and I don't see why not. I'm sure if I proposed that to the gym, they'd be more than happy with doing something like that. But definitely is an option. I just feel like with boxing and pads and everything, it is more effective in person.
Yeah.
I've tried like boxercise videos myself, and I just feel like it's a completely different feel in the gym, and when you've actually got someone doing it there with you.
Yeah, that's really important. And tell us, what's the ultimate aim in the lessons that you're running? What do you want to achieve?
Okay, so I want to achieve for everybody what I've achieved for myself. So the things I've learned in boxing, like the self-discipline, working hard, commitment, knowing how to balance it around yourself. I know how much it's benefiting myself. So this is why I want everybody else to do it. And this is why I put on the females classes, that not everybody's comfortable around the males. So if we can all be in an environment like sisters, there's girls of all ages, women, and it's for everyone. So what I want people to achieve, like self-confidence, they're learning self-defense. There's so many positives. The list kind of endless in that sense. But from what I've seen from the lessons so far, I'm seeing people, even the little things, like people adapting with how to work with other people. Instead of sticking to their friends, I'm doing like mixing people up and really getting people to get outside their comfort zone. And essentially it's all about, it all helps to grow you as a person.
Yeah, it really does massively. And then the next thing that people might not know is that you were juggling this with university. Mm-hmm. How is that even going?
So I'm a third-year law student at the University of Law in Manchester. So inshallah, I finish my degree in a month and I graduate in November. I will be going on to do my LPC and my master's. But again, I've always been one of these people that I do loads of different things at once. I can't just do one thing and be happy with it. I always have to constantly be doing multiple things and growing myself in different ways. So I wouldn't say it's been hard with uni. It's been a challenge. And in a way, it's been a good challenge because I've proved to myself that I can do more than one thing at a time. And it's just about prioritizing because, like I said, gym's really good with me. We've got Ramadan at the moment and my exam's coming up. So I'm really flexed at the moment. I'm taking some time off during Ramadan. But even after Ramadan, when I have my exams, they're really supportive, where there are people to help me out with my classes until I'm back for good in summer.
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. I mean, it's been amazing how you've done both of them things, and because law can be really demanding, university can be demanding as well. And then there's a lot of gender bias, not just in a boxing ring, but within the boxing family, whether that be TV coverage, whether there be the struggle for boxers to get into the ring. Are you using your role to tackle that gender bias?
Gender bias, I mean, I know that England boxing itself, they're doing so much more to what was a male-dominated sport is becoming for males and females now. And I'm seeing that. Just last week, I was at the championships and we had a speaker and a lead England boxing coach, Amanda. She was saying how big boxing's becoming for women. We've got Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, so it's the first female fight happening in Madison Square Gardens. So it's things like that that really does show that there are changes being made. I remember at the championships, I went behind the scenes and I could see that I am the only young female Asian coach here. And it's really nice to see. So that's one way, just being observant around me, seeing it. But inshallah, after I finish my uni exams, I will be going in the corners myself. So when we have amateurs representing our gym boxing, I will be going into the corners. And I know that's definitely going to be something different because I've been to a lot of shows and not once have I seen a female in the corner, like with my own eyes. I know it's happened, but I think it'll be really good. And again, my gym's been really supportive and my trainers are really pushing me that that's something you'll be really good at. You're a natural at doing things like that in the gym, so why can't you do it out the gym? And it's something that I'm definitely ready for.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? And how have you handled the media interest in your work? I mean, obviously you're doing law, so I would hope somebody doing law would be a good public speaker, but handling that media interest, like being on TV now as well.
So in terms of the Bolton News and the Asian Image, that was the first kind of media interest. And I was actually really excited because, I don't know, ever since I was young, I always said to my dad that, you know what, one day I'm going to come in the Bolton News because I'm really proud of you from Bolton. And I said to him, I don't know what it's going to be for or why, but I will. I'll make sure I'll be on there one day. And I've dealt with it really well. I think it's all new to me and it's a learning journey. I think being along with law, speaking comes naturally, but I am developing my skills on public speaking because I have really good relationships with my schools and colleges, my former schools and college, and they've invited me around and we've been having a lot of talks, and I am going to be like a role model. I'm on the alumni and they've invited me to present like the end of year achievements assemblies, and in terms of college, becoming a speaker for the law students there and just kind of giving them guidance and let them know how many opportunities are available to them. So for me, it's still a learning journey, but I'm taking it as well as I can. And I feel like it's really positive because it's making me a lot more confident.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I read those articles. They were really powerful articles as I was researching for the program. What's the ultimate aim? Do you want to set up your own boxing gym? Sorry.
I say with everything, never say never. But at the minute, the ultimate aim is I am a really proud member of the club where I'm at the moment. I also do have a law career on the side. I'm looking to do my LPC and my masters in September, and everything I'm doing with boxing at the moment, it's working alongside my law career. So inshallah, I do say never, but Metro is where my heart's at the moment, and I will, whatever I do in terms of boxing, it will be through that gym because I feel like I owe it to them. The amount that I've grown as a person, they've played a crucial part in that. But in terms of future, like I said, so the female classes, they're run by myself. So I am looking for young and fresh female talent, and it would be a dream to have my own amateur girl. Although it's under Metro, I can say that I've trained this girl, and I don't know, she can go on to win titles and do really well. It's happened before, and it can happen again. So, yeah.
And in a sense, you're becoming a bit of a star in Bolton, because I was talking to some people there. They were like councillors and political leaders saying how impressed they were that there's something positive going on.
Do you know what? I've walked into a few places and I've had a couple of people turn around, and I had a councillor introduce himself to me just a couple of days ago. And he said, if you need anything at all, just let us know. But it's really nice. Like I said, I've always been proud of being from Bolton. And me and my brother, we've been raised in a way where my mum and dad have always said, like, it's really good to speak with anyone and everyone. And we're very cultured and we'll speak to people of all ages and really get on. But I feel like having people skills is so, so important because you don't know who you're going to bump into and when. And everything I'm doing, I guess it's to make Bolton proud, my mum proud, my dad proud, my family proud. So I just hope I'm doing everybody proud at the moment.
Yeah. Well, final question to you, Sannah. What other things can we expect from you in the coming weeks and months?
Okay, so in terms of my boxing, inshallah, I will start doing one-to-ones. In terms of schools, I will be going into schools as a speaker and presenting awards at awards assemblies and really giving the pupils the drive that I feel like everybody needs. Inshallah, I've done a lot of work, and this year I've had my own project through Human Appeal for Lebanon. So I am going to be going to Lebanon this year to distribute aid, and I do want to carry on with my law and successfully complete my LPC and my masters. But like you've said, with media interest and the things, I do have things in the pipeline, and it's a journey for me at the moment. So sometimes I wake up and surprise myself, and I'm doing things that I can't imagine that I'd be doing.
Well, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being my guest this evening. Look forward to welcoming you back, and have a great Eid.
Jazakallah, and Eid Mubarak to everybody in advance as well.
Thank you so much.
I hope you all have a lovely Eid.
Thank you so much. You too. And love to the family. That was Sannah Adam, the England boxing coach, joining us live on British Muslim TV from Bolton in Greater Manchester. So as we come to the end of another programme, first I want to thank all our special guests tonight, Dr Raja Zahid Nawaz and Sannah Adam. Next week we take a break, obviously, for Eid, and we're back at the usual time of 8:30 on Wednesday, the 11th of May. And as we come to the end of these final moments of the programme, just to remind you, a refresher if you need it, what is the situation with Eid? So as we were talking earlier on with Dr Raja Zahid Nawaz, the chances of Saudi Arabia seeing the moon on 30th of April, which would be their 29th Rosa, is nigh impossible according to the observatory reports, and therefore they will most likely complete 30 days and their Eid will be on Monday the 2nd of May. which happens to be bank holiday. In terms of Morocco, if your local mosque follows Morocco, there is a 60 to 70% chance that the moon is visible in Morocco, and there is a chance that their Eid will be on Monday the 2nd of May. However, if the moon is not sighted in that country, then the chances will be that the Eid will be on Tuesday, the 3rd of May, if the moon is not sighted. And for those who follow local moon sighting, like the New Crescent Society and others, Wifaqul Ulama and others, they will be looking for the moon again. If it's found, if it's seen, sorry, they will also then have Eid on a Monday. And then, if not, they will complete their 30 days and have Eid. So as we head into Eid next week, on behalf of myself and the whole team here at British Muslim TV, I want to wish you and your families a very happy and peaceful Eid. I want you to remember all those no longer with us and those suffering around the world. They should be in our prayers. Whatever you do, have a great time with yourself and your families. Take care of yourself and each other. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.